Today I'm going to be making a quick guide on how to beat the legend stages. There's currently one legend stage available, and that is Marine HQ. So we're going to quickly go over how to beat each of the stages. But before I start that, let me just go over the must-have before you even begin to try to tackle these legend stages. Now, the legend stages are very difficult compared to other modes that are available. So some of these requirements are going to be a little difficult to attain, but they are not impossible. They're just going to take a while, maybe an hour or two. But let's just go over the things that you probably need before starting this. First, I'm going to recommend you get a fully evolved Kirito. He is the only mythic you can get without beating the legend stage. You can get him from the banner. He starts in epic form, and then you can evolve him into his mythic form. And his mythic form is probably top 3 of the best unit in the game right now. So even if you're not going to start to fight the legend stage, Kirito's already a unit you should already be aiming to get. So he's definitely top of the requirement. He is a must-have. You cannot ignore having Kirito to do this. Second is Nami. Nami's a farming unit that you can get from the clock in the lobby, in the middle of the lobby, right? She is a farm unit, so it doesn't matter if you have her at epic or if you have her evolved into her legendary form. Both Nami types works, so that's pretty good. But if you already have like 4 mythic or above, you don't really need Nami to farm. You can just place your 4 mythics in the game and just win. You're already strong enough. But if you don't have that, you should probably have Nami. Now, third requirement would be level. Level for your units, you should be level 60. At the minimum, you should have all your units at level 50 or above. Of course, your DPS and your tank should have as high of a level as possible. But for things like Nami, your support, their level doesn't really matter. So they can be underleveled if you don't have the time to level them up. Next is gears. I would recommend you have use epic gears or above, right? Epic gears are very good, and then above is even better. I would recommend epic gears because it improves the power of your units by a lot. For example, things such as Rod of Destruction, it would boost your beginning of the game by a lot. And things like Stone Mass is a must-have on some units like Kirito. Now, the gear that I would recommend you put on every single one of your units would be Phantom Dancer. Now, I know it's not an epic gear, but it's a little harder to obtain, so even if you don't have enough of them to put on all your units, I would recommend your DPS, at the very least, having Phantom Dancer because it boosts attack speed by a lot. Phantom Dancer's an equipment that works on pretty much any units you put it on. So yeah, this is definitely a must-have. And finally, we're going to move on to your traits. What traits should you have on your units before beginning the legend stage? Traits are very hard to get, some of them, right? But even like the easier to get ones, such as Nimble or Power, are very strong. For example, Nimble, attack speed by 12%, and Strong, attack by 10% for both types. So if you have Nimble 3 or Strong 3, I would say you're already good. Other traits that you can use is Critical 3. If you're going for a crit build, that works too. And anything that's epic or above should be good to go, except for, of course, Adapt, since this is just boosting XP, right? And that's pretty much that's pretty much the traits that you should have on your units. It's nothing too complicated. So once you reach these requirements, or at the very least you reach most of these requirements, legend stage should become easier or possible to tackle. So now let's go over the individual legend stages and the tips that we're going to use to beat them. Okay, so for legend stage Marine 1, I would say you need to place your Kirito first and then max out Kirito. Just don't focus on anything but Kirito at the beginning. Once you have them maxed out, you want to place down all your Namis and then max them out. And once your moneymaker starts making money, you place everything out and then max them out. Very simple. Kirito, Nami, everything else. Very simple 3-step plan. That's for Act 1, right? And if you fail, you might need to place more than Kirito, right? So Kirito and another legend, or Kirito and another mythic, and then Nami. That's pretty much planned for Marine HQ1. There's no special gimmick. It really just depends on how strong you are. So if you're failing, get better units. That's my tip for Marine HQ1. Now, for 2 and 3, the tips are a little similar. So for Marine HQ2, you want to place down all your units in the front 2 row. This is because every 5 wave, your unit's gonna get attacked by like a meteor or fireball from the sky, right? And by placing it in the front row, you're gonna be able to hit the enemy as fast as possible and engage in combat as soon as possible, so the match get over quickly and avoid dying out from those meteors. Now for stage 3, the tips are a little bit of the opposite. For Marine HQ3, you're still going to get attacked from the sky. However, the attacks is going to be focused on where your units are in the beginning, right? So if you place everything in the back 2 row and then put your game speed to 2x or 3x, then once the match begins, your unit's going to be able to run all the way to the front and avoid getting struck down by the light attack that the boss is going to be dashing out. So stage 2 and stage 3 have very similar strats. Stage 2 place everything in the front. Stage 3 place everything in the back. Very simple to remember. Now, how do we play those 2 stages? The plan is very simple to stage 1. You want to place Kirito, Nami, and everything else, right? This is going to be a pattern. Kirito is very strong. That's why I'm saying he's a must-have. So once you have those 3 steps down, everything should be light. Now, once you beaten stage 2 and stage 3, I want you to stop right there, right? So you're gonna need to start grinding out stage 3. You want to beat a Light Admiral again and again for the light charge, right? You're gonna need this to evolve Light Admiral himself. Right now, I'm guessing you only have Kirito maxed out, so you're gonna need Light Admiral as your second mythic so that you can continue beating these stages. Just like Kirito, Light Admiral is probably also top 3 in the game. So these two, once you have these two combined, you're pretty much set to go to tackle the next few stages. Now, you could also try to beat stage 2 to get your Lava Admiral evolved. But the thing is, Lava Admirals also require like a half soul material from the Infinite Clash, which is currently heavily bugged right now, so the grind for that's gonna be absolute hell. So I wouldn't recommend you do that. But if you really couldn't beat stage 4 or 5 even after getting Light Admiral, then maybe evolving Lava Admiral is something you might want to try investing in. But that's like a last step, last plan once you have nothing else to do, right? Now, step 4 and step 5, again, similar to 2 and 3, 4 and 5 are a little similar. But unlike 2 and 3, they have like no special gimmick, right? You just have to follow what they advise you to do. For Marine 4, you're going to get frozen in place. It doesn't affect the match that much. But pretty much just follow the same step of Kirito, Nami, and everything else. Basically, stage 4 and stage 5, it depends on how strong you are. If you're strong enough, you're going to be able to beat them. There's no special gimmick or special tips for these. I would recommend you having 2 to 3 mythic units fully maxed out for 4 and 5. Now, stage 5, I would say is the only stage that you cannot AFK. Every other stage, it's possible to AFK except for stage 5 because you need to run around and collecting shards, or else you're gonna die from taking damage for not completing those tasks. Now, before I move on to stage 6, I want to add a little something about the... Oh, I clicked the wrong button. Where's summon? Okay. Abilities, right? Abilities are very important, especially for stage 2 and 3. You get abilities from here. You can summon abilities with these tokens. And the abilities that you want to use when fighting the legendary stage would be barrier and heal, especially for stage 2 and 3. Whenever the boss start dashing out those large area damage, I want you to put out a barrier on your units so that your unit don't die from those attacks, and then you can heal them if they do get hit. So your units, even if they somehow get hit by those large AoE attacks from the boss, they'll be able to survive those damage. And that's very simple tips for stage 2 and 3, mainly stage 2 and 3, but it can also work on other stages. Now, finally, let's go over how to beat the stage 6. Stage 6 can be AFK'd. Like the other ones, there's a gimmick of the stage, and that's basically Shank's Hockey. Basically, you need to press a circle in time. If you already tried to beat the stage, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you will eventually. Basically, you have to time your spacebar or clicking the circle that will appear in the middle of the screen. And then once you do, you're going to be able to move or place units down again. But the thing is, you don't have to, right? You can tank those damage. If you don't complete the task, you will take damage. But even if you failed every single task that the stage 6 give you, you won't die from those damage. So you can AFK it by just not doing the task, and then placing your units down and maxing them out. Now the strategies for stage 6 is going to be a little different from every other stage, and that is you're not going to be using a farm unit. So for this stage, Nami is not a unit that you require to play. I would recommend you having 4 mythic units when tackling stage 6. The units that I have when I fought this stage is Ice Admiral, Kirito, Light Admiral, and Ace as my 4th one. And back then I didn't have like the divine or mythic traits on them. Most of them I had like epic traits or even nimble 3 on things like Kirito. So even if your traits aren't super strong, you're still good to go as long as you have like good equipments and it's fully maxed out to level 60. So once you have your 4 mythic units, you want to follow a strategy that requires you to put Kirito first. Again, Kirito is a very strong starter unit. He costs only 500 to place down, so of course you're going to place him first, right? You place Kirito down, you max him out, and you don't want to place anything else until your Kirito is maxed out. Kirito can handle the early waves on his own. Once you max Kirito out, I would suggest placing Light Admiral down as your 2nd unit, and then max him out, and then Ace, and then Ice Admiral, or any other units that you have. So Kirito and Light Admiral is going to be the first 2 that you try to max out. Everything else, or every order behind that, could be anything you want. But I would suggest you max out 1 unit at a time, because that's the way your unit gets to ramp up. For example, Kirito, he has an ability to ramp up, and that's what makes him very strong. Right, his passive ability, Dual Wield 3. This ability you can only get maybe 2nd to last upgrade, and once you fully upgrade him, that ability is going to be enchanted once again. So a fully maxed out unit is definitely a lot stronger than just a bunch of units that's like half upgraded compared to fully maxed out Kirito. So max out unit 1 at a time. That's something that's very important to remember to do. So that's pretty much the tips and tricks that I'm gonna give you. I know it's a little hard, but these are hard stages. If you have any other questions, you can comment them below. I'll try to answer any of them as fast as I possibly can. But other than that, have a wonderful day.